USA Taekwondo. We want the coulda been, shoulda been, woulda been. The best need not apply, just the rest. You are not needed if you ever mattered. If we know your name, this is not your game. And if you shine too bright, you'll detract from my TikTok media feed of the less qualified we employ. The champion we didn't destroy, but we'll still treat you like we need a rest when it's the USA Taekwondo dream. I want my share of the USA Taekwondo dream. The fast food and apple pie USA Taekwondo dream. My four-wheel drive and four-wheel drive USA Taekwondo dream. I wanna go home early and post the highlight of our best hope when this helmet gets kicked into the stands in USA Taekwondo. The USA Taekwondo dream. The champion we didn't destroy, but we'll still treat you like we need a rest in USA Taekwondo. We want the coulda been, shoulda been, woulda been. The best need not apply, just the rest. You are not needed if you ever mattered. If we know your name, this is not your game. And if you shine too bright, you'll detract from our TikTok media feed of the less qualified we employ. The champion we didn't destroy, but we'll still treat you like we need a rest when it's the USA Taekwondo dream. The fast food and apple pie USA Taekwondo dream. My four-wheel drive and four-wheel drive USA Taekwondo dream. I wanna go home early and post the highlight of our best hope when his helmet gets kicked into the stands in USA Taekwondo. The USA Taekwondo dream. I want my share of the USA Taekwondo dream. I want my share of the USA Taekwondo. The fast food and apple pie USA Taekwondo dream. My four-wheel drive and four-wheel drive USA Taekwondo dream. I wanna go home early and post the highlight of our best hope when his helmet gets kicked into the stands in USA Taekwondo. The USA Taekwondo dream.
It is your favorite crew. It is not Monday, but Tuesday, and that's because we were waiting for Mr. TJ to get back home. He was in places, who knows, but he had his thing going on today. He is fully energized. He has the Berry Monkey beverage in hand, ready to go. Show us what you got. Dude, I gotta find it now. Berry Monkey. I love it. I love it. How we do? I love sours. How we doing, Coach?
I'm good. Like you said, just chilling. Got back from the school, came straight back here. Got to hop on the podcast real quick. Usually it's Mondays, but this Tuesday's so spicy because we got some time today. So let's get into it. What's up with you, Coach?
I'm good too, man. Just had a great weekend. I was home. We did a bunch of things, ordering, cleaning out the school, throwing away mats, blah, 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 blah. Just getting ready for, of course, the upcoming events, and then, of course, some of my other professional business stuff that I have to take care of. So, yeah, just kind of doing a bunch of things. And actually, TJ, me and you were talking over the weekend on some pretty cool, oh man, almost a goal by the Congo. Some pretty cool topics about Taekwondo that I'd like to get into a little bit later. But since the nationals are coming up for both organizations, I thought maybe we'd chat a little bit about them. We always talk about how sometimes there's so much easy material out there, and I don't know. I think there was something that was kind of just brought to my attention about one organization has been what they do. They looks like they extended their registration a little bit. That I ain't gonna say it caused some controversy or anything like that, but a couple people commented on it. But I thought it was pretty interesting because one gentleman, I actually commented. I made some smiley faces on his comment, and he basically what he said was, what's the purpose of a deadline? If we're at this point, you might as well just have same day registrations. And he made it kind of I laughed. He says, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Well, I'm assuming that event starts pretty soon. I don't know because I'm not going to be attending, obviously." But I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. If what's the reason to have a deadline, when you're having 10 more days till registration ends, 9 more days, 5 more days, 3 more days, 2 more days, and then, oh yeah, we're gonna open it up a little bit." And I thought it was pretty funny because this guy, makes these comments, and then then there's some defense of it, why they're doing it, and listen,
Yeah. I think I
it's
saw they blamed it on hundreds of families forgetting to register, and you know what? But the reality is, for two things, that's all AI. Once again, I just can't unsee all the AI. It's like non-stop. And I feel like I've seen that post before. We're listening. We heard you. We're gonna do every year. I think it gets extended, right? I don't think no that never ended. It's always like, oh, we're gonna extend it a couple more days. Always.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I hear that a lot, from the organizational side. But I guess the funny thing is, like you said, hundreds. So there's thousands of people that did it on time, but there's hundreds And listen, I know business is business and money is money, but this just always, every time I see things like this, I can't help but going back to what we talked about with your phone tapes. It's always about money. It's
Always.
always about
Nothing but
money. I mean, they're trying so hard to have more than they had last year for some reason. It's almost like a pissing contest. Like we can't have less. And that's what it is. I mean, I think the number was at 3,100. From what I heard, there was 3,400 last year. So they got to meet that or break that. But it's funny. It's just about squeezing that last 50, 60, 100 people, whatever it is. If there's 100 people that didn't register, and I saw one guy say, "Oh, I can squeeze in a few of my extra, two or three other people." I'm like, you're part of that
that's what I was
organization.
about to say. You're part of the staff. Like you know the dates. They send you the dates. You're in the meetings with them when they're making these dates. Like, what do you mean a couple more people? I saw
Yeah.
that conversation. I know
And
I saw that.
and I know their school is 100% a sports school. So it's like, all the deadlines, everybody, and it's just a weak, attempt of rationalizing it. That's what I thought was kind of weird. Why are we rationalizing this? There's people trying to get visas. Stop it. You don't have this giant influx of people. You might have 10. You might have 20. Don't act like you got hundreds of people trying to get visas to come to the AAU. That's just such
Yeah,
a
you.
it's so ridiculous. So,
But it's a
I,
Patu 12 though, coach. It's one of the most important tournaments in Patu.
well, again, I'm not, I don't even know about any of that stuff, but I
I
think
don't know
that
what that means.
me neither. I don't really know what it means, but I have some numbers because I saw like let's say right now, until they, do their deadline stuff, they have 31 3,175 competitors registered with 6,826 entries. That means, some people are doing forms and fighting, or weapons and fighting, or forms in traditional forms, or whatever the case may be. And I'm looking at that, and sounds like a pretty good number, you know. But I don't have the 24 numbers, but the 23 numbers. They had over 4,000 athletes, over 900 coaches, with over 12,000 people registered for different events. 12,000. You're at 6 right now. Double it. That's how far things are dropping. People want to act like things are good. People want to act like things are going in the right. You're 12,000 down. And that's not my numbers. That's their numbers that everybody can see. So you could put a spin on this any way you want it, but these guys are struggling for dollars. They're trying to make more money. They're keeping
I
it open a
mean,
little bit longer. And, I mean,
I
and
mean,
you know what? I should say, I mean, they also raised all the prices too. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that turns some people down, people off. Maybe they're making a little bit more money. But listen, the participation is down and the entries are down. That's just the reality of it.
and when you're
So
in all these different states, rigging elections and telling people how to vote and what to vote and telling, helping them make clubs and showing them, walking them through the process of cheating. You know
listen,
what I mean? Walking them through the process of cheating. The people in the organization walking them through the process of cheating. That's why I struggle with guys like that when that post comes out. I know you wanted to talk about it a little bit, but when they start, you someone defending this and someone pointing out how bad this is and how people have to make real choices. And we talk about loyalty a lot on this show, and we talk about what that word means to our sport. And what our martial art, I would say, our traditional sport of what it's supposed to be. And you got these guys on there defending it, saying people had a choice. They didn't have to not go. And it was one of my students. I know you said you want to talk about a little bit. I'll let you carry on. But it was one of my guys who, I mean, you like, and so he made a good point. I went from being the national team head coach is suspended from the organization. Think about that. And then you tell people have a choice. What choice is there? If these guys realize there aren't that many choices, then maybe they would do better. Like he should probably just do the right thing. That's the choice. You do the right thing. There is only one choice in that situation. There's only one choice in most situations. You do the right thing. You don't get to try to navigate and justify why something is okay, but it's not okay. Like I struggle with those kind of people, but I'm starting to see slowly the more and more and more, they're all the same. They're all just sheep. They're all just robotic. They cheer for things like you guys knew this was gonna happen. All those people on those things, oh, this is so great. This is so great. Someone either texted you and told you to post that, or you were in on the thing and say, okay, I'm gonna boost this up, make this sound good. It's all a hoax.
Listen, I'm gonna say this. Let, let me go. Let me just finish with these numbers real fast because
My
you
bad. My
know,
bad.
no, it's a good point, and maybe it's a good segue. But there, I think what people are probably starting to figure out, possibly, like these traditional forms people, these point fighting people, these demo people, all these people used to get their team spots for AAU at the Nationals, right? They go there and it's all done there. Well, now it's all new because Joe Mirza wants people to go to the AAU Junior Olympics because it's a ghost town because nobody goes to it. AAU has traditionally had their team trials there, which is a small number of people. So the
Yeah.
way to get more Taekwondo people there because there's nobody that goes there. Now they're having all those people have to travel yet another place and have a team trials. And so a lot of those people are probably looking at that saying, "Damn, I got to fly to Des Moines, Iowa. I gotta get a hotel in Des Moines, Iowa. I gotta take off work to go to Des Moines, Iowa, and I gotta pay a registration fee again." So everything that they've done historically to make the team has just doubled, if not more. You know what I'm saying? So and and for no other reason than
I was about to
these.
say, is there a reason? Like, what you so competitive that you can't decide who the best is? I know the
It's
best
all
is at
money.
nationals.
It's
All
it,
money.
it's
Now you taking these same kids and going to another tournament, and the parents are. It's all
yes.
money.
And
You
and
can't you
listen,
can't disguise it. It's blatant.
traditional form go to an open karate tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of says traditional fight or point fighting go to an open, aka Grand. Well, I don't know what it's called anymore. It's in Chicago, like Warriors Cup, I think. But like, it's crazy to make them go through another step. You know, Olympic sparring is the only one that they've ever done it with. And historically, and there's some argument that maybe the draws and the seating and stuff like that where you made it better for a round robin competition, but it's just crazy. It's the numbers are down, the entries are down, the expenses are up, and the requirements are up because you have to most people have to do more. Which kind of brings me into Mr. Wilcox. He's a good man. He's a good taekwondo man. He's nothing but respectful when his son wins and his son loses. He's just a good Midwestern man. And he made a comment. He said, "It's a shame because historically my son has gone to this AAU event for the last 13 years of his life." I mean, I think the kid's what? Is he 20, 21?
So you about to be 21.
Okay, he's 21 years old. Since the kid has been 8 years old, he's been going to this event religiously. And this year, he's the national team member. He's the team captain, and he's not going. And I think the dad said something like he wasn't allowed to go or something like that. And these guys say less, my guys, say less. Just let the man vent. But when you rationalize it and go, "I want to clarify one thing. First of all, we love you. This. I want to clarify. Your son was not, you know." Banned from coming or suspended from coming. He had every opportunity to come. Of course he did. You're right. But how is he going to go when his coach is suspended? Why would he go out of the respect for you, loyalty for you, integrity to himself, knowing what's going on, go to that tournament? It's
Because
not
that's
necessary,
because that's what they do.
but
They
it's a
they they
double-edged
sit
sword
by and
because
pretend.
it's a double-edged sword because I know some of these people that when it comes to their own athletes, they won't shake a certain person's hand or they won't, because the coach doesn't like a certain person, the athletes follow through out of respect for the coach. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, "Oh, you can still come, Sheldon, but in my case, I'm going to make sure my athletes don't do this or that because that's how we stick together." It's just so say less. Just
It's
don't try to
impossible.
rationalize it. And that's the problem with all these guys. I mean, they're they rationalize it. And yeah, I was thinking about this, and you know, I don't know what you guys think about like religion and stuff like that, because I'm a religious person. I am the first one to admit I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. I say a lot of things wrong. I get it wrong sometimes, and I have to go and apologize and correct myself, or talk to the person that maybe I didn't understand them correctly. None of us are perfect beings, but I really can't stand these guys that act so morally high, so religiously high, and then knowingly support things that they know are wrong. Oh, it doesn't affect me, but you know what's going on is wrong. Like, isn't that a huge conflict? I mean, TJ, you mentioned a couple episodes ago about respect and dignity in the martial arts, and how this code that we're supposed to have. That shit's gone. There's a
Yeah,
bunch of fake people, fake martial artists, fake black belts. Just keep going. Again, and I'm not saying I'm one of the most real people, but I'm also not making excuses for people when I know things are wrong. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just
and
and
the ones that are behind it and doing the most are act the most righteous, like they could do no wrong. Like
this
it's
is it.
you guys are a part of an organization, whether it be from the top to the bottom, that is literally cheating at elections to get what you want. It's out there. So many people know. That's the crazy
Yeah.
part. So many people know, and they sit by and they still, but some of y'all make me sick because y'all still go and try to get these other spots in other districts and other places for what? Y'all got friends in other places, like I told you last episode, 2 episodes ago, that are being pushed out by these people that you're trying to stay in good with. What does that
DJ,
say about a lot of
I,
you?
I
I
I
don't
don't
get
know.
it.
I don't know the exact numbers, but somebody was telling me that they had a meeting, and there was like 80% of the people the guy didn't even know. He's like, there was like
Oh,
4 or 5
Lord.
people I knew, and they're all brand new. He says all the old people are either they left on their own or they got pushed out. He's like, I don't really know, but he goes, I didn't know virtually anybody. I was like, that's crazy. You're going to national championships and you don't even know. I mean, I understand like one turnover. There was a hot debate or a hotly contested, you know, uh, election in one state, but you have this much turnover. That's crazy. Like I said, either people are running away or they're getting pushed away. And we know for a fact, you know, I mean, how many different states have we run into where people are calling us and telling us the exact same thing happened in North Carolina. The exact same thing happened in Virginia, blah, 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 blah. It's just,
And
it's,
yeah, and these are the guys that are sitting at the top going that when you talk about religion and righteousness, all that stuff. That can't be. I don't care what religion you are. I personally am not super religious. I try to, like you just said, I try to do right as often as possible. I try to fix things if I mess up. All the things you're supposed to. I'm courteous. I try to make sure I'm empathetic to people and all sorts of things. That's just who I am. I try to be. But like you guys know, you're cheating and doing evil things, and I say evil for very specifically. It's evil, and then you stand in front of all these people and try to lead them and show them how good you are and show them, look at what I'm doing, look at the direction I'm trying to get this organization to go in. You're building your pockets just like everyone. Our sport has become so overdrawn with money. It's all about money. I know we'll get to it later, but and again, I know me and you do seminars, and I always try to pride myself on making sure I could give value to the room I was in. I'm watching most of these seminar prices just keep, like you said, like the tournament prices, just keep going up and up and up and up. And they're just robbing our sport. They're not teaching people anything. It's all hoax and tricks and oh, listen, I know you bring 50 guys from this school, you bring 25 guys from this school. People, it's not even people want to be in the room. They're being put in the room to make sure that the people that are there are getting paid. Just so they can go out and hang out with them afterwards and touch elbows and oh look, I'm a part of the organization. You guys are all the problem. Every single one of them is the problem, man.
Let me remind
it's
you
like,
guys of something about the AAU. First of all, the AAU Taekwondo was created by a criminal. The guy was just basically a judo guy, Korean guy, and he originally ran the AAU, which became USAT. And the
STU.
USTU was run by his progeny, who was also a criminal, and they ran it like a criminal enterprise. And that means that they had inside dealing. People got deals. People got chosen coaches by donating money. Not all that money made it to the organization. Next thing that happened was the Americans who were pushed out of the AAU or pushed out of Taekwondo eventually got to take over the AAU. And when they got to take over the AAU, they did it because they were unhappy with the criminal enterprise, the lack of ethics and morals of the judo people that were running the sport. So they went to the AAU because that's the only place that they could find that they could actually go to and have a place to be. So now what you have is the people who left because of the lack of ethics and morals. And over the years, they've had different guys. There was a guy that used to run the thing. He ran it because he was trained by that group. He ran it the same way, but just ran it to the exclusion of non-compliant Koreans.
Okay.
So with that said, they then, that same group then decided they were going to exclude those people, go to the AAU, that was going to be their place. They weren't in the Olympic sandbox. They were by themselves. They were collecting all the money. And then there were a couple of good guys that ran the AAU. Well, what you have now is a mix of non-compliant Koreans and non-compliant Americans and guys who don't matter. Let me be clear. I have no idea. I don't know any of these guys. And like I've said before, my general rule for knowing stuff is if they don't know me, they don't know Taekwondo. And if I don't know them, they're definitely nobody in Taekwondo. I don't know this guy. Oh, I don't know the other guy. I don't know any of these guys. I don't know Alex. I don't know his sister, Sally. None of these guys mattered because they never did anything in the sport. So why would you expect these guys to care about the sport? As it was said in the one audio tape we had, this guy cared about money. He's a money guy. He don't care about anything else. Now, to be fair, USA Taekwondo has the same problem. These guys don't care about anything. They care about keeping their position for their second, third, and fourth tier people who never saw the light of day. They don't have a single winning athlete on their staff. Not one. Not any. They don't have a single winning coach on their staff, including the COO and the CEO, who's a shyster and a schlockmeister from Australia or England, where I mix him up every time I see the OxyClean commercial. So why would you expect any of these guys? Because we couldn't even get the guys who actually did Taekwondo, to be honest. So if you want to go down the tree, which started in Korea, they were corrupt and they said it. Lee Jung-woo, who's a great man in Taekwondo, he talked about how they pruned the tree. And that's why we find ourselves in this place. Well, the question becomes, because I've been writing something on this and I'm working on this program, why did we all start Taekwondo? We all started Taekwondo because we wanted to be better people. And in being that better person, we thought that this was a vehicle towards self-enlightenment, towards becoming a better person, moral ethic and virtue. And a handful of us, because we competed at a high level, still think that. Why would you expect the ass clowns from the back of the room that didn't have enough skill or perseverance or determination to make it? So I don't expect this clown, the chubby non-performer that's running stuff, to do anything. He never did anything in the ring. Why would he do anything outside the ring?
The funny thing is like I've said this to TJ and to people. I'm like, never discount people's ego. Never discount people's ego, because most of these people in the old days, they wanted face, right? They wanted to be on events, at national teams, and they want to go say they were U.S. national team coaches, which we'll talk about later, right? Young, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to get to warm up and say, "I was a national team coach,"
and they paid for the privilege. They donated $5 or $10 or $15 or $20,000, which then went to a party for the Korean leadership that we never saw a penny of. And then they were head coach. They'd come and sit in our chair and distract us, to be clear.
Right. So let's fast forward to now. Now these guys want titles. They want titles. They want to say, "I am district chair. I am the chair. I am whatever it is." They want a title, and they want to make money. At least the old dudes donated money and went to some party. Maybe you got us a warm up or something. I don't really know. But nowadays they want the title, so they can put on their little Instagram stuff. They can put on their stupid AI, chat GBT stuff. And oh yeah, I gotta wait. I have to have a mechanism to make money. I gotta have a tournament. I gotta have a referee seminar. I have to be able to charge. That's all it is. It's money and title. That's crazy. And Young, you're right. I'm getting there. I'm not, I know you always talk about what people did and stuff like that. I'm a believer that, I always feel like there's a chance for people just because they weren't the best competitor or they haven't been around long, they can still add some value. But these guys have taken it the other side. It's like in politics right now, you're either all the way right or all the way left. There's no middle. These guys have taken it to the other side because most of them, you're absolutely right. They haven't done anything significant in the sport as a competitor or as a leader. They
Can I ask you a
really,
question?
yeah.
Have you ever been trained by someone who wasn't a real champion, who didn't understand Taekwondo at the like deepest levels and development, all those things like that?
Me, zero.
I would say the same. What about you, Grandmaster?
I
I
know.
I didn't I
So,
wouldn't
oh,
I wouldn't be in
I
I
think
wouldn't
that
be in the room with them. I mean, to be clear, if you want to be, let's be clear. You want to be a champion, be trained like a champion, be trained by a champion. And if your
Yes.
so
coach was
I
trained by
think
a champion and goes and he does the work, I think to agree with Coach Moreno for 10 seconds, here's the deal. If you haven't done anything, shut up, sit in the room, learn, come back and teach what you're taught by somebody who's done something. That's just the
so
way sport works.
so I think that for me answers the question. I think we always shy away from that because I say it and I don't like to say it. I think you have to have some pedigree. I think you had to have to for our sport as a fighting sport. We not hockey, we not lacrosse, we not baseball, we not basketball.
Good
We
point.
are a fighting sport. So I believe I've never had a bad coach in my life. I've always been in a room with people that have excelled and wanted to keep excelling and made other people excel. Like I've been lucky. So
But
so when I always I say it because I want to be fair, right? Like, oh, well, this guy wasn't so good at this, but
So
he could still
you
be a
said
good coach.
something
And did,
you said something important that we talk about all the time, and we taught it in the course. It's called the OODA loop, and so this was a thing from the military. They wanted to figure out how they could stop losing gazillion-dollar planes. So they said, you know what? We have fighter pilots that survive. So we want to figure out so we don't
how
keep
they
losing
survive.
planes. Yeah. In other words, we train a lot of money to spend on the guys to train them, but we want to figure out how they survive. So we're going to ask the guys who survived. Then we're going to develop a system, which became the OODA loop. And it's longer, watch a podcast later about it. They didn't ask the guys, by the way, they couldn't ask the guys who didn't survive because they were dead. In our sport, unfortunately, they get to survive. So when you want to learn how to do something, you ask the people that win. In soccer, they ask the people that win. When you look at the guys who are coaching World Cup teams, they're players or they're coaches of great players. And that's the way it works. You
or
don't ask the
or
guy
they
who didn't. Go ahead.
or those guys have been around for so
Yeah.
long and proven that they
Yeah.
can develop athletes and develop teams and win
Yeah.
championships. Yeah.
If I want to sit next to you at a dinner table, I'll sit next to you at a dinner table and I'll listen to whatever your specialty is. But the last thing I'm going to listen to if I'm at a dinner table at Taekwondo is some guy that took classes in his rec center and took them for fun and fitness to learn life skills.
TJ,
I'm not.
to
You're not the
your
guy that's going to make me.
actually that's a very good point, and we don't want to say it because we're trying to be politically correct with all these people that never were in
Hold
the
on.
ring or never.
Read the shirt. Read the shirt.
Yeah.
On me and I,
Yeah.
hey, on me and I. So no, I'm going to say it. I'm not apologizing. I'm sorry, but not sorry. Sorry,
Yeah.
we're not sorry.
No, but you have these people that haven't done stuff, and they all of a sudden they get a hot athlete or two, and they think that they're there. But you know what? I mean, this is like in a sense where I'm going to go a little bit against some of the things that we've said, but I'll give credit where credit's due to a guy like Daehun Lee. At least that guy has been at the top. At least that guy has been in there. So if I sit down and talk with him in training, I go, well, like you just said, Young, talking to the fighter pilot that lived, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? Versus these other people that have been on staffs and on teams now that have never been there, never done it. And if they happen to have Gilly had a result or two, it's certainly not anything consistent, So, I mean, I listened to Justin Gaethje. He just fought in the UFC. We talked about it last week, and I was listening to his podcast, and he was talking about. He's like, I've been lucky. He goes, I always had good teachers, good support from my parents, help from my small community. I've always had great coaches that looked out for me, that were disciplined me, that kept me on track. And I'm like, to your point, TJ, this is my first
That
instructor,
part.
was amazing. My second coach was amazing. My Olympic Training Center coach, amazing. It just I can't say a bad thing as far as how they directed me at all. And all of them, as you mentioned, were winners. And we've gotten to this watered down. This is a great segue. We've gotten down to this watered down society of taekwondo right now. Because in my day, you only went to somebody that had a reputation of winning or producing winners. That's all you did. Now you got all the gimmicks, you got all the AI, you got all the seminars. I mean, you're right. I do seminars for a living, and I watch these people do seminars, and they write their national team this, world championship coach this, medalist this, and I'm like, they
It's
almost
weird.
have to, because if they just put their name, they'd be like, why would I go to? I don't like to call people's names X, Y, and Z seminar. What do they have to offer me? You know what I'm saying? There's got to be some other gimmick attached to it. I get to go here, or I get a kickback there. It's just weird. I've always said what I'm proud of with Peak Performance and myself. Nobody's forcing anybody to go to my programs. People go there willingly. I have a lot of repeat people because they like what they've seen, they like what they've experienced, so they come back. I get new people because they go, "Damn, we heard about this." So I feel good about that. But this day and age of watered down coaches, watered down programs, just is kind of weak. I want to get real fast to that one thing.
You
Two more
you made
things
a
on.
good point. You made a good point. I think just so I want to clarify. I know we talk about champions and winners and good coaches and all this stuff. You made the best point you made was someone that actually guided you and helped you and looked out for you and like actually had your best interest at hand. Was able
To
to
this
tell you
day, to
to
this day, they still call me and talk to me to this moment.
to tell you that maybe you got to go left here or maybe help you through the things of what comes along with being a champion. I know Master Perez, Coach Perez, Grandmaster Dunn always talks about I'll say it, CJ a lot, right? And we see the things, and I know social media, and it's crazy and it's good, and I always try to shy away from talking about them, but like some of the things bug me a bit. It feels like it's too much because I remember being his age. I remember being at that point of being someone who was popular and sought after, and people wanted to be around. And then I was told how to act. I was, to my benefit, when I say told, advised how to move forward and keep the sport where it should be and be this role model that we've all set out to be. And I'm not saying he's a good role model or a bad role model. I don't care about none of that. But I know you talk about it a lot, and I try not to touch on it. But when we start to sit back and we talk about the society, these guys that are guiding most of our athletes who are at the top they don't care about them. They are a number for them. They are a way to make money for them. They are a way, if they win, they look better. They're not involved in how these kids develop and how they grow and they're not going to be there to pick up the pieces when it's over. We've watched Olympic gold medalists leave and just never see them again. Like we Olympic gold medalists, something that was special, something that was extraordinary, walk away from our sport, never to be seen again, really, not to be involved at all. You're gonna tell me that's normal, Coach? I
Oh,
went to the Olympic Games
yeah.
with you. I don't understand a day at a point where I'm gonna be like, hey, I ain't never gonna talk to this guy again. Hey, this
Crazy.
guy is bad. It's crazy. We went through if they did it the right way and it was as pure as it's supposed to be when you get a chance to go to the Olympic Games and go through that whole process. Those people from the
To be
coaches to the training
bonded for the
partners,
rest of their life.
Did you guys,
how
you know who Freddie Adu is?
Of course, soccer player,
Yeah. Freddie Adu was the most talented,
young kid,
notarized,
14.
right, and protege and savant and whatever they call them again. I can't remember what they're called. When you're very young,
Yeah,
and you're very good. And you know who he is now?
yeah. I
Nobody.
think he commentates once in a while, but
Yeah,
yeah,
he
never
became
panned out.
nobody, never panned out. And so I don't want to pull out anybody in particular, but I could pick a couple individuals who were that same individual. They were hyped, they were this, they were that, they were the next best thing, and the thing they didn't have was good coaching. So here's my final say on that. When you haven't done anything yet of note, shut up, get back in the gym, turn off the cameras, and go do something so you matter. right? Not because everybody that on your TikTok feed says you matter, but the medal table says you matter. That's what matters. If the medal table says you matter, don't worry. You'll have all the time in the world to do your shoes, dance with your shirt off, and grab your crotch like Michael Jackson or whatever. That's up to you. Till you do something that matters, shut up and get in the gym and win something. And this is why. Because if your focus is on how you're going to be perceived, you're going to be perceived as Freddie Adu till you do something. And then even if you do win, you're not going to have the legacy that great players have. And great players are quiet and they will go win and then they matter. And you don't have to tell anybody that you matter and you don't have to TikTok to matter because everybody will know your name. Your name is Jungkook
That's
Young,
just
Jung Myung Sam, Jimmy Kim. These are guys that went in the gym, did the work, came out and won medals. And when you do that, then you'll matter. TikTok doesn't tell you that you matter. The
yeah.
medal table tells you that matter. So when I talk about
Oh,
any one particular individual, my thing is you're cursing yourself. When you're out there telling people how much you matter and you're the most creative fighter in the world and you're the most dynamic and you're the most exciting and all the little teenagers from TikTok in South America, oh, you're the best. You don't matter. You haven't won anything. Shut up. Go back in the gym and win an Olympic medal. Go
But
win one.
Young,
and we're
but
talking
that's
about one of the like. Go ahead,
go ahead, go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead. No, I think, and we're talking about someone that's been a little consistent, and I know consistency you does it. It's not. I get it. No, I understand. I understand. I
What's
understand.
consistent? What's consistent?
I understand. I understand.
Consistent.
We're on the same page. We're on the same
Oh,
page.
no, hold on.
What I'm saying,
Let's say it out loud. Here's consistency. Jimmy Kim, consistent. Juan Moreno, consistent. Jungkook Young, consistent. These guys won a string of victories till they decided they weren't going to win anymore. Consistency is not showing up at the dance. Consistency is not once in a while making a
yeah.
medal table.
No,
No,
but like
I
I think he's saying like, listen, to his credit, CJ has been consistent. He hasn't won the big thing, and I think that's where we're getting to. Like, and it's you're supposed to, if you're that good and you're gonna do all these things and be boasting, you gotta win the big ones. And until you do, you just kind of keep your head down and be quiet. Actually,
And he has been consistent in one other thing, losing to Enrique.
well,
He's
listen,
he's been incredibly consistent at that.
I'm gonna say, listen, on any timeline, there's always a chance to get it to rewrite it, right? I mean, this is the truth. I mean, Hike's had his number for a couple years now, and I'm sure it's
Could
only a matter of
change.
time.
Yeah.
It could
Yeah.
change, but I don't think it really means it. I was gonna say the same thing. It's funny. I wrote down this. I was like, I said, I wrote to myself, what do you guys think about these highlight films that people put out there in losing situations? I'm not talking even a medal. I'm talking losing situations. Like you didn't even. uh, First of all, I'm notorious for throwing away medals that weren't what they should have been. But I, these guys are putting highlight tapes of losing efforts at opens. You know what I'm talking about? Like not getting not a bronze, not a silver, and definitely not a gold. And you're gonna put this, here's some just some footage of me and
I
maybe scoring a good point, but you lost that round, my guy. You lost that fight. Like
because
that's
everybody wants to be, but everybody, and I say this, and I used to think I understood. I used to think I had this connectivity to this just generation of social media and stuff like that. But I'm on board with you. I hate it. I don't get it. I struggle with it. But everybody wants to be insta famous. We don't even care for what at this point. And this
yeah,
goes to society. We don't care for what. You could be the worst at something and have 1 billion followers, right? Just
yeah.
because you look whatever. And I think our sport has been for sure taekwondo because again been the standard that's been set. It's very much like that. Like even the training videos. I'll go back. I used to hate putting training videos, and I do it now because I'm a business owner and I'm trying to put videos to kind of keep the things moving and stuff like that. But I'm saying from an athlete standpoint, I thought I was so private in what I did, and I talked to you a lot about that, Coach. Right now, even with the stuff that we do, I always feel like, man, my guys should have an edge of me. Like what we do should be private. And it used to be like that. And we trained and we exchanged every now and then. But like you said the other day, we showed up to fight each other. We showed up.
This. How about this? Like I'll blame leadership. I'll blame
Mhm,
home coaches. maybe
Mm-hmm.
parental things. And again, what's a different, but I'm going to say something. When is the last time, or maybe you can count on one hand, maybe a couple fingers, that you saw anybody from Peak Performance, Miami specifically, do one of these highlight videos that we talked about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have one kid recently that did something, and I was kind of like, I had this conversation. I'm like, young man. And it was so funny. But look, you didn't do that. Paige didn't do that. Briseida didn't do that. Danielle didn't do it. Tony didn't do it. Like, nobody did that. And I know there was, as I get, social media is much more popular nowadays. But my point is, I don't know. I just think that I'll go old school with Grandmaster here. If you haven't done what you're supposed to do, just say less, my guy. Say less, my girl. Post less, my guy. Post less, my girl. Just get back to the gym, put your head down, work your ass off, and go whoop a few people and get on that podium where you're supposed to be. And let all the best professionals say it. They let their actions speak for themselves. They're not going to talk. Nobody talks to anybody talking to the San Antonio Spurs right now? Nope. It's all about the Knicks. Anybody talk to, who lost the
Nixon
Super Bowl?
5. Nixon 5.
Damn, I thought Knicks were gonna lose, to be honest with you, but I ain't gonna lie, they are a good ass team. I ain't gonna lie. I give credit where credit's
Yeah,
due.
but look at the boy. Look at the boy who was at the top of his game, whose father was one of the assistant coaches, Brunson, right? What did
But
he
you know where
do?
he's from. You know where he's from.
No. Where?
Chi-Town, baby. Come on now. That's
But
why.
he didn't talk. He didn't say
You know,
anything. He
even
just
even even after everybody took
nope.
shots at him, everybody
Did his job. Did his
did
job.
his job.
Did his job. You know when I did my first highlight tape? After the Olympics when I won. That was my first, literally my first
Because
highlight tape.
nobody knew your difference of your highlight tapes because it was like left, 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 left. Homeboy, people are like,
That's my
he put that shit on rewind? Left,
listen,
left,
Black
left,
Belt
left,
magazine calls me and they had this thing, you guys remember back in the day. They had this thing, they'd have 5 guys come in and they'd do their 5 techniques against different attacks. So you had 5 attacks. And so they tell me the 5 attacks and I go, left leg round kick. Yeah, left leg round kick. Oh, left leg round kick. Left leg round kick. But I had to invent some stuff. So if you go back, you'll see some creative invention.
First? You went switch left leg round kick.
I changed, back kick, back hook kick. Yeah.
It's out of order, but did you see that again, it was sent to me in a screenshot. The AAU, like in their registration packet, they put that in the weigh-ins, they're giving a 2 kilo allowance. They forgot the point or the decimal point, like 0.2.
Was that for Nia Abdullah? That's an inside truth. Hey, I was there. Wait,
there. What? I missed it.
If you know, you know. I'm just gonna say she couldn't. Well, anyway, I'm not gonna make I don't know what she's doing these days, but I wish her the best. But let's
she's on our board. I think she's on the board. I saw her name on some board.
Then all right. Well, then I got to tell. I'm going to tell the story. So she didn't make.
She's not on the board.
She didn't make weight. She wasn't even close to making weight. She showed up, and then we found out there were 2 reasons why she didn't make weight. One was eating. I won't tell you the other one.
But she did.
I thought I saw her name on the board stuff recently. Someone said she was. She was at one point, but anyways. What else you got?
I think I was, like I said, I
lost track of the other thing we were talking about with the social media and everything.
Yeah, I just think that listen, it's the same with the coach. Like if we're gonna give the athletes a hard time, some of these guys that aren't really producing, we gotta give some of these coaches the same thing. These coaches are doing these seminars and doing these presentations, and they're just like, I think it's more for them than.
You said it.
Yeah, but don't you find it ironic? Chairs. Don't you find it ironic? And let me tell you what the irony is. Both of these organizations have rules about what you can say, can't say about the organization or people in it. Yet, both of these organizations have no rules about social media and posting and nonsense and the way they portray the sport of themselves. So when you watch these guys and the way they portray the sport and themselves, they don't carry the sport with the right decorum and dignity that it should be carried with. Yet, God forbid you say something about the sport that actually is factual and critical. You can have This guy with his shirt off, flying through the air, and he's a role model for young kids, right? So now your kid shows up at your gym with his hat backwards, his pants down around his butt, and his shirt off. What do you say? Well, I saw the USAT video, and oh, by the way, I saw the coach give him the finger. Why can't I give them the finger too?
That's what I was gonna say. They have protocol, Young, but they choose when
And
who to use
who it
it upon.
applies it to? Yeah.
Again, if TJ went right now to the nationals that are happening next week, and by the way, he went there and he went like this after he won his tournament, and he starts goes like this with his little cadet and goes like that to the camera. They would suspend that boy in 2 seconds flat. 2 seconds, let alone at a Grand
But
Prix.
we said this a lot, like
I
a
know,
year
I know,
when
I
we,
know,
about
I know.
when we
Yeah.
talked about them in that damn thing at the Nationals where they letting coaches curse at kids straight up.
How
You
about
know what I
that?
mean?
We haven't
How
talked
about
how
so,
about
but like
that?
that's what I'm saying. Like when you say they get to pick and choose, imagine if I went to someone's athlete
God.
and was like, you're the B word, you're a bitch. Like imagine if I said that to an athlete.
I can't imagine.
Imagine,
I can't imagine.
imagine.
They got mad at people booing a Pumse thing.
Did we get a post about that after he went off and said that?
Think about that.
Think about that. Compare.
They were going after parents and looking in the crowd of who's booing, and I mean, again, I'm not saying that was right, but my point is they did that. They got a guy in the ring on a microphone with the director of athlete affairs right there listening to him say, "Don't shake his hand. He's a bitch. He's a bitch." Not once, twice. It's okay.
Mhm.
So Young, they pick and
And
choose.
those are people that run. Those are people that run the organizations. Those are the guys. Like you said, the athlete affairs director. Like it makes no sense. And when we talk about no one's
What is an athlete affair director? Who's that?
I don't know. Whatever he is.
What is that?
But I think you
position?
made a good point. I think you made a good point when you started talking about like the AU stuff and the district chairs and everything. It's with these coaches now. I think we talked about it a little bit last week, but Olympic coach, a world coach, like a Pan Am championship coach, a national team coach. Like, what does that mean? What like I've never. You are a coach who is successful enough to attend the trip and help a team get through the event. But your coaching status doesn't change by putting national team coach in front of you. Like
The problem is again, just like in the old days, if you were an Olympic coach, oh shit, you're an Olympic coach. It carried some weight. It made some
we,
things.
but we
But
can't be
nowadays,
like that now.
well, no, we can't be like
But
that
at least,
because
but I, was,
I'm
I
gonna
don't know how much over. I'm sorry, real quick. I don't know how much over crossover there was, but we got people becoming Olympic coaches by coaching athletes they have nothing to do with.
that's my point. I was gonna say the same thing. I'm like, listen, it's there's a difference between coaching at the Olympics and being an Olympic level coach. Does that make sense? Right? Because there is a person that sat in a chair that from another continent that never coached them, never did drills with them, never trained them to get anywhere, and was sitting in the chair. And that's happened to other places too. I mean,
I got a story. Yeah, I
okay.
got a story. So at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, when all the COVID stuff was going on, one of my friends who's a coach, I talk about who, they went through the whole protocol, and their athlete they were there to coach actually caught COVID and wasn't able to compete anymore because he had the quarantine for the whole time. And he sent me a message and goes, you know, does this make me an Olympic coach or not an Olympic coach? Because he actually wasn't going to go out to the event and coach. And I remember during that conversation, I told him, I was like, look, if you were a part of the preparation, if you went through the process, if you helped this person, guide this person, built this person, was with this person all the way, you going out there, I understand is like the cherry on top. It's everyone gets to see, but you know who you really are. You know how much influence you had on this athlete. So to me, yes, you're an Olympic coach. You are an Olympic coach who has an Olympic athlete at the event. Unfortunately, she won't go out there, you won't go out there, but that doesn't change. And I think from that conversation to where we are now, I mean, they're labeling these people Olympic coaches. Like Nikki's an Olympic coach because she went with the guy from, was it Niger? What's his name? What's my boy's name? Yeah, like how does come on,
Razik.
Yeah. But come on, does that make you an Olympic coach, really?
No,
and I wouldn't be picking on her, and I'm not picking on her, but I wouldn't be pointing it out until I got to go on the website and you see it. Olympic coach, and you're telling people this is the best squad we can come up with.
Right. And you're rationalizing because she's an Olympic coach. That's not true. Actually somebody sent me the team trial selection procedures for coaches for the Youth Olympic Games, and basically it says you had to go to a games. So there's only 2 people that went to the games, and that's Lambden and her. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, I mean Gareth and these guys, but I doubt if they're gonna go. So I'm
Should I put an application?
I mean, but it has to be. There's something you have to be in good standing
I'm
within 2 years.
kidding.
I know,
Oh
I know,
damn.
but think about that. They listen. There's a couple again. Jonathan Yu, his girl has a very good chance to make the 55. She's on the national team. She's of age. I'm sure there's some other ones that are going to take a shot at her, but she has a very good chance of making that team. A very good chance. And let's say she does. Once again, this guy Jonathan Yu will not be able to go. He is in the best position to coach his athlete at the World Championships, at the Pan Ams, at an Open, and certainly at the Youth Olympic Games. Way better than anybody else in this country because it's his athlete. It's the same thing at the Junior World Championships or Cadet World Championships. I don't care how great you think you are. If the home coach meets the certain requirements, let him sit in the chair. Let them get that. Let him get that development at that time. Okay, we're going to the Olympic Games. You have an Olympic program director, you have Olympic coach. Even that nowadays, you don't have 8 athletes going. You have 2. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you should be considerate. I went to the Olympic Games with Mexico because I coached that athlete all the way through at the Olympic trials to get her to the Olympic Games. And they said, you know what? You're best suited to go. United States should do that and should think about that, but they won't because it breaks down all of their chances
Control.
of control. Control. You
Control.
you took the word
Control.
from me.
But and they're still doing the same thing, even at this last Grand Prix. Now think about this: we have people qualified for the Grand Prix, right? So everyone went to these tournaments, these challenges, all these events throughout the year before to get qualified for these Grand Prix. I would say by just standard of what this means, not I know we talk about how Taekwondo is fluctuated up and down, but if you're qualified for a Grand Prix, you're considered one of the best in the world at that point, correct? It's I can say it, whatever, yeah. We're still going to Grand Prix and not funding our own athletes from this country. Like they
Yeah.
didn't pay for all of our athletes to go to the Grand Prix. Only their athletes. Everybody else, they paid
And
their own way.
they wanted to be coached by them, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
think a little bit of mix. Yeah, I think there was a little bit, but I'm not sure. All I know is
Okay.
they're athletes that are considered the top in our, not just in our country, but in the world that aren't being funded. And we're talking about bringing in new coaches and all these, how great this is. They can't even get this shit right. Like they've been doing this since back when I was at WCAP with David Kim, with all these different people. We're qualifying. This is the best 58 in the country, the best 54 in the country. We're qualified for the Grand Prix. Kalfani Harris, we're qualified for the Grand Prix. And there's no funding for those guys. So when you talk about, like, I know it's crazy. It's crazy. So when we start talking about like we're labeling people Olympic coaches and this and this and this, they're buying these spots the same way now, and they need that control to keep it that way while they push everyone else to the side. You're gonna
I
tell me
think
someone that's at that level doesn't deserve to be funded by the country?
I tell you what I
And
think is
and these
interesting.
people think that they're ever gonna fund our juniors and our cadets? They're not
Well,
even funding
remember
the top seniors.
prior they didn't want to coach anyone that wasn't in their room. Now they want to. Now they're controlling everything. It's just this circle of things that they
I
do.
forgot.
At the beginning, they were like, no, they didn't coach anybody. I mean, even the World Championships, the national team head coach coached, I think 4 people, and some brand new coach coaches 8 athletes. They don't want anything to do with it. But now all of a sudden, they're starting to kind of clamp down and take control because they're just cutting everybody out. Get out of the way. Let our people go. You got one person that's the head of cadets, one juniors, one para, and development. One person. Meanwhile, that one person has done none of that stuff ever. Here, try it out. Go do
I
something.
don't think that's normal. So when you go back and ask that question about can you do a job or help someone succeed or they succeed and you've never done those things, I think you need some insight. This
What's
isn't
the strong?
you, you gotta know.
What's the most important thing as an athlete before you get in the ring? What is the most important thing that you have to have? You have to have
Belief,
confidence,
confidence.
confidence and
Yep.
belief. So
Yep.
if I look out and the guy that's sitting in my chair isn't adding to that, he's diminishing. That's not helping me. That's never helping me. I want to look out, and when I need advice, and I've been in those chairs, by the way, I look back at the coach, and the coach is going, I don't know. What do you think? I'm like, I was kind of looking at kick and punch. I figured that part out. When and how.
You got
And,
Yeah, but like these kids are being lied to, so maybe they're being brainwashed. You got people saying that Chase Graham is one of the best coaches in our country. We want to talk about someone that hasn't done anything, and I don't want to go too hard, but like I'm sick of seeing it. Like these are adults telling kids and people that these are the best coaches. They're calling them writing Olympic coach or national team coach next to
Or
people. Like, what do
legends.
you?
no, the
Legends.
problem,
Like
yeah,
what? Like
legends,
what are we
Legends.
talking about?
legends
What are
in
we
their
talking
own
about? We're just
mind.
lying to
But
people.
here's
Yeah, I
the
know, but like
but
some
here's where it
part
all
has got to be
comes
real.
from. Here's where it comes from. If there were a point where there was no one left in this country. There was a plane crash. We got all the best coaches and athletes in the world on a plane, and we were sending them on a humanitarian mission to Korea to help them fix Taekwondo. And the plane crashed, and there was nobody better. Then go out to your second, third, fourth, fifth non-tier people. If the second and third and fourth tier people went out and got educations that were sports specific, got educated on how to teach, how to coach and be better and understood the strategy, or went and trained in something the equivalent of the soccer academy in France that Mbappe was a product of. Okay, put him in the chair. But when you disenfranchise, disallow the people in the country who have actually done something matter,
That's crazy.
that's crazy. That's where the craziness comes. When you have to sit there and puff up and self-promote and virtue signal to get these clowns in chairs so that people can feel good about it. And not to denigrate the current group of athletes. They don't know any better. So if you went to the average, if I went to a junior nationals this time around and they announced Herb Perez was there, the juniors would be like, Herb who? And they should, because I haven't been around in a minute or two. But in that same token, if you do the puffery and you say Nikki and they go, ooh, that's Nikki, and she was the coach of Botswana. You know, I mean, let's keep it real for a second. Nikki who? Steve who? And I'll go further. I'll say Jay who. I mean, let's be clear. These aren't the top people in our sport. And you know where this wouldn't happen? Korea. You know where it's probably not happening? Spain. You know where it's definitely not happening? Iran. You know where it's definitely not happening? Any country that cares about performance. I'm pretty sure. Think about it, and you'll see I'm right. Look at the coaches. Coaches sitting in a chair matter. When our coach sits in a chair, they go like this. Who's that?
Yeah, TJ, you made a good point. Like he's like we now I'm gonna go back and kind of bag. Oh my gosh, they just scored a goal. Colombia finally scored in the
What's the score?
75th minute. 1-0.
Okay.
Wow. That was crazy. You mentioned it a little bit, like, you know, we bring these coaches over here and like especially this last one, you know, he's the best in the world and blah 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 blah. And I think to myself, if that guy, you said it, TJ, I'm stealing your line. If he was the greatest, like, why would his own country let him out? Why wouldn't they bring him in? But yeah, I know there's hierarchy in Korea, there's stuff like that, but he comes from an esteemed university. His professor is the president of the KTA from Yongin University. Dr. Yanjun Bang is the president. He's from Yongin. Daehun Lee is from Yongin. So he has everything lined up for him. If he's so great, if he has so much to offer, why wouldn't the motherland say, dude, get him by all means necessary?
Because
Keep
Yang
that
Yang
boy in
Yang Jinban doesn't matter in Korea, and Yang Jinban is part of the human
Young,
set.
young,
But he's
you know what I'm
part.
saying?
I understand what you're saying, but Yang Jinban, just to be clear, he's in the human centipede of Yang Jinban, Jay Warwick, and if you don't understand that reference, watch the movie. And the clowns from USA Taekwondo, they have the little sycophantic, mouth to butt thing going on, and this is why he pooped out this guy to come here. Because you're right, if he mattered, he'd still be there.
But yeah, that's my point. I don't want to dilute it and stuff like that with all that. What I'm saying is everything is lined up for him to stay in that country and produce at a pro team, whatever. Even if he went to a pro team, he comes to that university, he could be handpicking people. If he's so famous and he's so good at what he does, wouldn't everybody want to come with him? It just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know the guy's personality as far as does he want to come and get a green card like you've kind of mentioned. I don't think you're far off, but to your point, TJ, if he's so great and everything's lined up for you, in that system, why leave?
Because this is the best. Because he wanted to come join the world class winning program of America. Because that's what they said. I'm just repeating it. I'm not even making fun at this point. He is going to join one of the best coaching squads in the world. The world is the
That's a
craziest thing you could
such a
say.
mockery. So, it's
It is.
funny. I was
You
writing down.
understand why he left Korea? Because he didn't pay his dues. He hasn't coached in Korea. He's never coached.
He's
So in other
coached a
words,
little bit.
yeah,
He's
but
coached a
for
little
him
bit,
to
but
coach at the level he needs to coach there, he's
yeah,
gonna have to put in his time. He don't have to put
and
in
you
his
know,
time here.
yeah, he can just come straight. Well, listen, it's funny because like we talked about. You're right. Like, oh my gosh, another goal, another goal.
The
That's
floodgates are
crazy.
open.
Yep. Oh, do they call offsides? Wow. But it's funny because like I was thinking about a famous coach who's who popped on the scene, who wasn't a great athlete, Dragon from from Serbia. He popped on the scene and before 2012, but 2012 he had a female win a gold medal at the Olympics. But since that time, he's produced Olympic medal after Olympic medal and a world champion after world champion. He's built this program, this seminar circuit that's second to none. It's very impressive. But it's the Mike Krzyzewski, it's the Phil Jackson. They weren't necessarily the best at their sport, but they were able to grow something and they became something unique. Where a lot of these people now you're seeing former athletes are becoming good coaches, former athletes are becoming presidents in their countries, like in Iran, like in Turkey. And it's time for this country to have that, to have former athletes become the presidents and CEOs and become the real directors, and not just former athletes, successful ones. When you look at Iran, you look at Turkey, you look at Hadi, you look at Bari, these guys are the
That's
cream
crazy
of the
when
crop.
but when you compare that to the opposite side, it's nuts, right?
And you have a lot
It's
of
nuts.
countries that have gone other way with officials, referees, and stuff like that. You look at where they've gotten to, they haven't gotten there. The athletes, fighters have. You look at what Rosendo has done when he's gone into places. You just look at all these countries that are putting these former champions in there and letting them do their work. They're doing some really good things. There's a goal. Another goal and another offsides. Same guy. That's crazy. But it's just I don't know. I was thinking about I was gonna ask you this. What do you guys think? I mean, TJ, you're a little bit more relevant, but Young, you were around in the era. Think about coaches that developed a good athlete or two or a team. What do you think about the coaching stamina? Like who's able to reproduce? Like I said with this gentleman Dragon. Like again, pat myself on the back. I've done this for 25 years since for a long time, and I've always been able to kind of keep keep going. Like I've seen a lot of these hot coaches that get an athlete nowadays. TJ, what do hot coaches get someone to the academy, and then their one goes and they're gone. They're just crickets. I don't feel bad for them because they allowed themselves to get suckered like that, but they were kissing the ring. They were talking of all these good things. Their athlete goes there, never to be seen again. And that coach, generally speaking, never to be seen or heard from again. And that's just in recent times. But what do you think about the how difficult it is for athlete coaches to be able to recreate that cycle over and over and over?
So to
It's
do it
it's
once, you once, you might have got lucky. You had a specimen walk into the gym. You had someone who was a little bit special, had something different about them walk into your gym, and you were able to capitalize on a moment. But to do it for 25 years, whatever amount of years, that means you know what you're doing. That means the recipe is there. That means you know how to change and push and pull and develop and get the best out of multiple people. That's because that's just expertise. A lot of these guys, again, I say it a lot. I'm like, man, when am I going to get the tall kid that walks into the room, or the athlete that that loves this sport for whatever reason? But that's what happens in some of these places, because you don't have that many people that have been around for that long and can go, I've worked with this person, trained this person, helped this person, developed this person. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. And I think when I grew up, I was around a very big, strong group of coaches. I think we had strong coaching. When they say coaching's better now, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I was around a lot of, I think, strong coaches who had strong programs, who had good fighters, but it was, you could tell that they did it for real. You could tell that they kind of had their recipe and their way of making not just this person, but also this person good. I think now we've entered that world of, again, I go all the way back down into development. We're teaching kids how to flip flop and twist and duck walk down the floor before we teach them how to stand normal and round kick. And that's because these coaches saw it on TikTok, saw it on Instagram, and go, this is going to be the best thing for my kid today. Let me go do this.
It's funny because one of the original programs that was built, they told me specifically built to compete with Peak, was Progression.
Which one was, who was that?
That was Scott Fuji. Scott
Oh,
Fuji, and he coached Tim Thackeray and all those. No, but listen, Scott Fuji, Jason Poos, and who's the guy from Hawaii? I forgot his name. Brian McCutcheon. Yeah, Brian. Those three. And it's funny because when you look at the success of those three coaches, listen, Scott and I, we fell off, but I was always cool with Scott. I like Scott from when he wasn't very good and he come and lived in my dorm room, with Yun Lee and stuff like that. And he had a couple good years, and I always friendly with him. I didn't have a problem with him. Gene Lopez had a huge problem with him. They hated each other. And I used to try to keep those guys apart and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, when we were making the coaching staff, Gene didn't want him on so bad. And I went to bat for Jason Poos. I said, listen, they have people on the team. Give that group a voice. Give that group a voice. And they, we put Jason on there. I know. I did that. I did that out of the goodness of my. I did that for Sherman Spinks because Patrice couldn't coach. Think about this. I put Jason and Sherman on the U.S. coaching staff because they were representatives of other groups, not because they were good, not because they were special, but because the people they were under were good and special, but couldn't get on there for whatever reason. Coach Remark, because he's working with other countries, Coach
I think
Scott,
it was more, he was still dealing with his visa stuff and everything, with traveling and everything for a long time with that.
Scott Fuji, because Gene didn't like him, and I was just trying to find the middle ground. But my point is, Scott at least was a fighter, and he got the best results. Those other two, not so much, and none of them had the players that Scott had. There was a nice one here from Oklahoma that I'm not going to go people's names that I like. You know who I like, and there was a couple nice ones from Hawaii that I like. But I'm just talking about as getting the most out of the athletes. And that's bringing up some old stuff. And I actually happen to like the guy from Hawaii for a while. I don't like how he finished his stuff, but that doesn't matter. But my point is, again, it's good athletes producing good programs. TJ, to your point, and back in those days, the coaches had to be good. They had to be good, or they didn't produce good people. Nowadays, it's the opposite. There's some coaches that aren't good. They're not good, but they have a couple good people. I mean, there's a lot of them, and then they go and say, TJ, should we play the game? They ask you, should I play the game? And then they get their one to the academy at a audition, and they will never see them again. And life is over.
I know you said the audition and just triggered me all over again. Now, I just like, you have an organization who is the national governing body and you're supposed to, develop Taekwondo in our country. And the same organization also has this thing called the Academy, which is a fully funded program where they pay for the athletes they want, not the best athletes, not whoever they want, and whoever fits their mold, and whoever decides to go up there and follow that path. They pay for them fully to travel around the world and collect as many points as possible to qualify for tournaments that other people that could potentially be better suited for, coaches that could be better suited for, to get their athletes there and to be further along in development can't afford to do. But they run both. And
technically, didn't the 49 person just do that? The 49 athletes.
They always do that, though. Yeah, they always do that. They
technically wasn't on the national team. Wild card to the Pan Am, and they paid for them to go and travel and stuff because they're in that room. To your point, let's give a perfect example of that. And I like the person, but it doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if I like them or not, right? That's where we have to be honest with people. Listen, you weren't on the national team by your own choosing. You didn't go to team trials. You had a wild card. You went to the Pan Am. That's it. Technically, you're not on the national team, but you're in that room. That room sent you. They didn't send the national team athlete to any opens, right? This is your point? And so they paid for them to go get those points to get into a Grand Prix. This is where we're at.
That's where we've been at. And like I said, I just told you that at the last Grand Prix, they didn't pay for the athletes to travel there. I think one got to stay with somebody in a hotel room, like to share a room. The other guy had to pay his flight, hotel, and everything. They paid for registration. Like, what are we? It's a shame. It's a shamble. And like I said, it's hard for me to. It's the coaches. I don't think this goes this. I don't think this could have been this bad if these coaches were real coaches. If these coaches stood up for some, the ones that are the closest that are dealing with this, the ones that are justifying online, saying, "Oh, just so I'm clear, just so we're clear," the ones making excuses for whether it's AAU or USAT for their lack of development, their lack of control of a situation, their lack of, I don't know what it is, give a fuck about this country and the development of the sport. It's you guys' fault because you keep putting your athletes in positions to go up there and do things because, oh, it's going to look good on me, or I'm going to show that I'm a part, or I'm going to rub elbows with this guy. Like, you don't even care about these athletes. It's about you, because if you did, if they're, I don't have a kid on the junior team right now. I know I coach Danny and help him get on the junior team right now. But if I was one of the coaches with junior team athletes or cadet athletes and they weren't being funded, they would literally have to cancel me, really. They'd have to just stop, because I'm not going to stop. You're not going to tell me this kid doesn't deserve to be funded. I, as a coach, talked his parents into coming to training every day, give this kid a good shot. Go to this competition, qualify for the division. Go to nationals, go to team trials, have your best day, win, get on the national team. And I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, you got to pay $1,500 to go to Uzbekistan now. Get the checkbook out. You're gonna pay more money to because you're successful.
They said, TJ, you can come on the trip, but you can't coach.
Nah, no, not me, my boy. I ain't passing judgment, but not this guy. It's not like, no, not on a team like that. Absolutely not. Not with my own money. With my own money.
We're rolling up on an hour and 10. We got anything for the better of the order? We're going to try to keep it at an hour. We got more we need to talk about?
Nah, listen, I know I was going on about the the AAU and stuff like that with all the shenanigans that they're playing and they're pulling and stuff like that, and I probably should have organized it a little bit better. But let's see, it's obviously the numbers are down, and let's see how well
they're doing Puerto Rican math. They're doing hood math. 2 + 2 is 12. So the reality is that the numbers are down. They're conflating the numbers. They're conflating the dollars coming in, and they're doing 2 + 2 is 12, and they don't have unique members, and those unique members, even the ones they have, aren't going to the same amount of numbers. When you look at 6,000 people and you have more than 12,000 instances of stuff going on, then you're looking at 2,000 or 3,000, and you're getting 4,000. And the story and the economics speak for themselves. When you care more about money than people, that's what you end up with.
Yep.
Coach, anything else before we go? All right. Well, this is
next week. Next week, let's do it. I'm going to be in your hometown.
What?
TJ, let's do a podcast together from there. Yeah.
North Carolina?
Let's do it 100%.
You're going to be in the basement?
I'll be in Charlotte. No, I'll be downtown, homie. Come on now.
All right, boys. We are out.
Later. Peace.
All right, I'll get it up later.
We should definitely do a live one, though. Like I told you, my parents were crazy.
En Taekwondo de queremos al pudo ser. Debería haber sido, habría sido. A los mejores no se les acepta, solo al resto. No te necesitamos si alguna vez importaste. Si sabemos tu nombre, este no es tu juego. Y si brillas demasiado, restarás de nuestro feed de medios de TikTok o de los menos calificados que empleamos. El campeón que no destruimos, pero igual te trataremos como si necesitáramos un descanso. Cuando es el sueño de Taekwondo de quiero mi parte del sueño de Taekwondo de
apatía y mediocridad.
Sueño de Taekwondo de
Mi apatía y mediocridad.
Sueño de Taekwondo de quiero irme a casa temprano y publicar el momento destacado destacado de nuestra mejor esperanza. Cuando le patean el casco a las gradas en taekwondo de
El sueño de taekwondo de El campeón que no destruimos, pero igual te trataremos como si necesitáramos un descanso.
en taekwondo de queremos al pudo ser. Debería haber sido, habría sido. A los mejores no se les acepta, solo al resto. No te necesitamos si alguna vez importaste. Si sabemos tu nombre, este no es tu juego. Y si brillas demasiado, restarás de nuestro feed de medios de TikTok o de los menos calificados que empleamos. El campeón que no destruimos, pero igual te trataremos como si necesitáramos un descanso. Cuando es el sueño de taekwondo de apatía y mediocridad. Sueño de taekwondo de
Mi apatía y mediocridad.
sueño de taekwondo de quiero irme a casa temprano y publicar el momento destacado de nuestra mejor esperanza. Cuando le patean el casco a las gradas en taekwondo de
El sueño de taekwondo de
quiero mi parte del sueño de taekwondo de quiero mi parte del sueño de taekwondo de
Apatía y mediocridad.
sueño de taekwondo de
Mi apatía y mediocridad.
sueño de taekwondo de quiero irme a casa temprano y publicar el momento destacado de nuestra mejor esperanza. Cuando le patean el casco a las gradas en taekwondo de
El sueño de taekwondo de
el sueño de taekwondo de